Hey, thanks for stopping by the channel. My name is Matt, this is Lead Me Outdoors, and before we get into the review, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more content, hit that like button, and leave a comment down below when this video is over for any feedback you like to give, or go ahead and tell me what your favorite tent is, what tents you like to bring out on a trip, pros and cons of the tents you like. Let's start a conversation about that. Back in late 2019, I picked up this tent. The reason why I did that is because, full disclosure, I am not a thru-hiker. I'm not an expert hiker. I'm actually not a fast hiker at all. I'm an average hiker. But anyways, I'm creeping up there in age. I'm in my early 40s and I have a hurt back. And what I needed was something lightweight, something that I could keep the pack weight down when I'm going backpacking for 1 night, 2 nights, 3, 4 nights, stuff like that. So I've been looking at a lot of things over the years, and this is a tent that I've always had my eye on for quite some time, and basically it was discontinued after a while, and then recently they brought it back, and the tent that I'm talking about is the Altaplex. Now, like I said, I picked up this tent in late 2019 and was able to use this tent for a lot of trips that I did in 2020. Even with what went on in 2020, I was still able to get out on quite a few trips, some overnights. The first trip that I took it on, I went to Catalina with my buddy Steve, thru-hiker, and I was able to basically break it in for 3 nights out on the trail. We did that 40-mile trek in 3 nights, 4 days, I think it was. So it did wonderfully out on that trail. I was quite surprised. I did get the spruce green, which is a little bit heavier, but what my experience, what I found is that it pitches a lot tighter. It's more taut when you pitch the tent. I have the duplex in the blue. That seems to not pitch as taut as this tent does. Now, I know there's people out there to say that that's a problem. I have had no problems with that whatsoever with the heavier Dyneema pitching it and getting it pitched correctly. So I really enjoy it. I've taken it, like I said, to Catalina. I took it to Dobbs Cabin up here in the San Gorgonio Wilderness. I've taken it to Jackstraw Springs. I took it up to the Sierra Nevada. We did the Duck Pass Trail, and a thunderstorm came through and got rained on and windy and all that, and it held up great then. So I've had a lot of good luck with this tent so far. It's been great for me in the past year. I'll continue using this tent because, like I said, one of the main things that I love about this tent is the weight. The weight of this tent in particular is 17.4 ounces. So can you imagine having a good sized tent? There's a lot of headroom in this tent, good side room and all, for barely over a pound. I mean, that is awesome. And I have 2 bulging discs in my back, a lot of back problems, and I try to keep my pack somewhat lightweight for that reason. So that's why I had my eye on this tent for so long. Is my buddy Steve, thru-hiker, had an Altaplex, and I was always eyeballing like, man, that's a beautiful tent. It's one of those pyramid style designs. There's quite a few tents out there. I've had the Lunar Solo, which is an awesome tent as well. I mean, there's no knocking 6 Moon Design. They make great products. But I like to try out all kinds of gear. I got all kinds of tents. I mean, I just went to Joshua Tree a couple weeks ago and brought the Big Agnes Copper Spur HVU all-in-one. So I kind of mix it up, the same thing with my cooking gear. So I've had this tent. I love it so far, and yeah, I would recommend it to anybody that I know it's pretty expensive. I mean, but if you are a serious backpacker, a serious outdoorsman who's going to continue to get out there on the trail and go into the wilderness, backpacking, hiking, all that, then I mean, you could save up for it and buy it. I mean, that's something that it could take a while. I mean, it's a lot of money to drop $600. So, you know, that I do understand that. But if you have back problems, if you're trying to lighten your load, you could lighten your load significantly with this tent, at least a pound. I mean, a lot of one-man tent, two-man tents are over 2 pounds, so you can drop your tent pack weight quite a bit with this tent. Now, this tent was designed by Zpacks for taller backpackers, hikers. I'm 6 foot, so I'm not like exceptionally tall, but I do appreciate that extra room that it does give you. If you're laying with about 10 inches above your head or closer to that, you're gonna have about the same distance with your feet. And then sitting up, you have a ton of room. It is like really hard to touch the ceiling. You basically have to like get up and touch the ceiling. So that is great, just having that kind of room in the tent. This tent does pitch with a single trekking pole. It does, you need a long trekking pole. So most trekking poles don't have the proper length that it needs to go. So there is an attachment that you could buy from Zpacks that you just attach to the bottom of your pole. Let me grab it real quick. So there's the attachment right there. And basically what this does is you take it and it can click right into the end of your trekking pole to add that extra length that it needs to pitch it correctly, because it does pitch really tall. Now the total amount of stakes that it takes is 10 stakes. Now you don't have to do all 10 stakes if you don't want, but for the maximum space that you could get within the tent, you're gonna want to stake it out with all 10 stakes. So you got the basic 4 that connect the floor, and then you got the back pull out, and then the wall pull outs in the back, and then you got the side wall pull outs, and then obviously the front where the trekking pole is, you pull that out as well. So it does take a lot of stakes, but I mean, you could get some lightweight stakes. I do use the MSR groundhogs. I do recommend those quite a bit. I mean, I've gone through all kinds of stakes, and the MSR groundhogs are pretty awesome. Now this tent doesn't take up a whole ton of room, but it is fairly big. You're gonna need a decent sized space to pitch this tent because of all the guy outs. It's hard to pitch a non-freestanding tent in really rocky areas. So what I do recommend is always bringing like a loop system with some cordage that you could basically guy out with rocks if you ever need to do that, which I had to do a few times. I did it at Catalina and a couple other places. So yeah, I do recommend keeping that in your kit for rocky areas, because a non-freestanding tent is much more difficult to pitch than a freestanding tent is in rocky, hard surface areas. So we have a rainstorm coming through here pretty soon, and I'm going to go ahead and pitch the tent out in the front yard and see how it holds up with the rain. A little bit of a storm. I did take it through a storm in the Sierra Nevada, but might as well see how it does during this, since it's coming through right now, so why not, right? Let's go check it out. Okay guys, so it's been raining on and off for about a couple hours now, at least like 2 or 3, maybe 4 hours. But we're gonna check out the tent and see how it's doing. It's getting dark, so I will be taking it down soon. This is my front yard and I don't want to leave it out for somebody to take, but as you can see my breath. It's pretty cold out here. It's cold rain, windy, stormy, and this has just been sitting out in the rain for a while. You could hear it coming down pretty good, so it's a good test to see how it performs. Anyways, we're gonna go check it out right now. Alright, it's actually looking pretty dry in here. I mean, DCF is one of the best materials for rain, so Yeah, nice and dry in here. You'd be perfectly fine in a storm, I would think. That's just my opinion, but I think this would do fine. I don't feel any wetness anywhere in here. A little bit of condensation. This actually is just cold. It's not wet. You got to see this tent has a lot of space in it, so I'm 6 foot. There's my feet all the way down, and I got plenty of room above my head here. And there's the top, so I could technically go back a little further. There we go. So good 8 to 10 inches. And probably 8 to 10 inches at my feet. And then the ceiling is way up there, so really nice tent. So that's gonna do it for this review look at of the Zpacks Altaplex. I will come back in the future and review it again, you know, more time with it and see how it does, but the initial first year use of this tent has been great. Love it. Would recommend it. And there's a lot of great tents out there, you know. Six Moves Designs makes great tents, Big Agnes makes great tents, Zpacks, you know, I got a duplex. That's a great tent. So there's a lot of good tents out there. Go ahead and comment down below your favorite tents, the reason why, and yeah, let's get a conversation going about it. But anyways, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, comment down below. Thank you everybody for stopping by. I really appreciate you, and you all have a good one.